welcome to kind of an impromptu live hang, just talking the Clippers Media Day that is still happening. Right now, I believe Kevin Porter Jr. Is talking to the media. It seems like he's kind of like off doing his own thing, um, which is fine, I guess. I think that makes sense. Just wondering if they wanted to make it easier for him, giving him the questions he was probably going to be asked. But that is not the most important thing that was talked about during Media Day. I'm a little torn kind of between, like there was some Kawhi stuff. Kawhi, I mean, obviously, happy he was there. Great to see. We didn't really get any new information. If you were expecting new information on the Kawhi Leonard knee situation, I wish we had it. Unfortunately, we don't. So that's where we're at. He does want to be ready for opening night. That was talked about a lot. You'll probably see some tweets that were worded like Kawhi Leonard intends to play opening night. Mentally, the end of taking it in this day by day scenario. So I don't know what I would not expect Kawhi Leonard to play opening night. I think you could probably put some solid money on Batum being the opening night for, just with how things are going. The full quote from Kawhi was, "We're taking it day by day. Everything has been going great for the past month, but they're being very cautious." Sure. In the past, I haven't been able to finish playoff runs, so making sure I stay healthy for those important moments. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yes, Adam is live on his show. Yeah, he's doing his live thing. I'm doing ours on Clips and Dip because that is the only Clippers podcast that I am a part of. Kawhi did bring up a good point. He said he went from 0 games to 52 to 68 in 3 years. He says he's aware of how he wants to get back onto the court and all that good stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say it was a roller coaster of answers from Kawhi Leonard, but it was up and down. He met kind of the saddest part, and I don't mean this like in a mean way. It's just like if you watched him in game 3, I think it was, it was kind of it was disheartening. But he mentioned that the inflammation in his knee is something that he could have to deal with for the rest of his career. But he says he and the medical staff have a handle on it and are doing what is needed to keep it from being something that will be an issue down the road. So they're working on it. I don't think any of us thought they weren't. But it just, yeah, I don't know. More of the same. They're taking it cautious. Yeah, I probably wouldn't put any substantial amount of money on him being the starting for the Clippers opening night. Steve Rodriguez saying probably out for all of November. Hope not. That would be bad. I don't really know if I would subscribe to that thought. I would not want that to happen. Thank you for bringing this up, Elzio. James Harden really did sound like he's ready to start scoring again. From his quotes, aggression was kind of the main thing you heard from like all of his responses. I think everyone's pretty hyped up on that. We'll get some of the classic stuff out of the way. He wants to leave a legacy here. He says it's home. He loves playing here. We love that. I think we ran down 1 week how many times he said that for teams that he's played for. But hey, this actually is home, so that's good. He's excited for Zubac to be used in the offense more. Whether that means more pick and roll or more just Zoo shots, we'll find out. Yeah, I don't know. It feels like, yeah, he talked about kind of pecking order and things like that, but we're going to see. I put this on the Clippers pod Twitter. How many 40-point games do you think James Harden will have for the Clippers next year? He had none last year. With this new look for the starting lineup, which we're going to get into some of the Norm Powell comments, because Norm Powell was saying he was very much talking about wanting to be a starter. There's a lack of scoring if Norm Powell is not in the starting lineup. I'm not advocating for him to be in the starting lineup, but since we know it's an open competition, that is something that could be happening. But I think James Harden is going to have, I put the line in my notes as 1.5 40-point games for Harden next season? Over or under? I think it's going to be over. I think he's going to have a boatload of these 30 to 35 point games. And by boatload, I'm not saying he's going to average 30. But we're going to get more of those, oh shit, James Harden is a system nights, I think, from the Clippers next season, which will be needed. We are going to need James Harden to be more aggressive if the Clippers are going to make noise and surprise people, which was another large theme of this media day. A lot of Nico talked about it. Terrence talked about it, like this team's going to surprise people and all that stuff. For reference on James Harden being more aggressive and scoring again, as LZO said in the comments, he took 11.4 field goal attempts last season for the Clippers, which was his fewest field goal attempts since 2011. So there is some room for growth there for James Harden, which will be needed. So expect his field goal attempts to go up. If you could find, I guess where this is kind of weirdly becoming kind of a betting stream a little bit, if you can find any number on his 40-point games, if you could get that at like 1.5 or 2.5, maybe take the over. I don't know. But yeah, James Harden's going to be more aggressive. There is going to be this balance between, okay, so James Harden being aggressive is great, right? A lot of that is ISO. And as Dime Dropper says, heliocentric ball, which is absolutely correct. He is the system, all that stuff. So finding a balance between James Harden being aggressive, which is going to happen in ISO, and then being better than last in passes per game, which the Clippers were last season, is going to be difficult for Ty Lue. That passes per game stat has really been hammered home these last like 2 weeks or so. So I'm interested to see how they work on this balance. I think it can work. There's so many new pieces. They are going to have to figure stuff out. We'll talk about Derrick Jones Jr. and Norm and Terrence in a sec too. But yeah, James Harden is ready to kind of attack again, which is great. The field goal attempts, got to assume they're going to be closer to 15 per game as opposed to 11. And the 3-point attempts, kind of average. He was at 6.8 last year. I don't see that going too crazy. The highest he's ever averaged was 13, and I don't think that would actually be good for the Clippers. Steve Rodriguez, also thanks for everyone for hanging out. I know this is a work day stream, so I appreciate the hangs. Do you think having made Kawhi play power forward so much has ultimately harmed his knees? I don't. I think Kawhi could have played any of the positions, and because of how things work with his body and with his luck, it could have happened if he was playing the 3. Like it's not like I don't know. I don't think so. I don't have like a huge medical background, but I don't think playing the 4 is. I think he just has bad knees, right? Like I think he unfortunately has to deal with just having a degenerative quad and knee issue, which sucks. But I don't think it was him playing the power forward position. I think, and if it was, I think he could have just been like, no, I don't want to do this. So I don't think it was. So this is, another great point that I was thinking about too. The only concern that Lizzo has outside of Kawhi and Norm, no one can really find their own shot, which is going to be taxing for James. And this is a great segue into kind of what Norm was talking about. Okay, shout out Steve Rodriguez for watching on your lunch break. Appreciate that. Maybe watch when you're getting paid too. The ultimate double whammy. If you're listening, if you're watching this, thank you. If you're listening, this was a live. I'm probably just going to put this out with an intro or something. We'll figure it out. Back to the concern about shooting. Yes, outside of Kawhi and Norm, no one can really find their own shot. I totally agree with that. Norm talked a lot about wanting to start. He also mentioned he wants to help the team any way they can. It wasn't necessarily like pointed at like, I want to be a starter. That's it. He wants to prove the media wrong, all that stuff. But he wants to show why he can start in training camp. And I mean, offensively, I don't think anyone would argue that an offensive backcourt of James Harden and Norm Powell would be awesome to watch. That would be a lot of fun. There is the issue of the other side of the ball, which is where things get a little dicey if Norm Powell and you know, James Harden are out there together. That's where things become very, I'm just gonna say bad. That is not a good defensive backcourt to have for the Clippers. And I don't think you can really argue against that. I love the offense, but the defense of that, rough. So that's a weird thing to balance. It's going to be an odd balance year, I think, is a theme we're going to see. There's a bunch of new guys. So it's not super surprising. But for me, I think Norm showing why he can start, it starts with defense. It really just does. The lob, the jam, the pod brought up a great point. They said Norm is the most kind of Paul George-y type of player the Clippers have to fill a lot of the void left by George offensively. There's a real debate that he's the cleanest fit to start to maintain a bit of what the team looks like last year, but the defense would take a big hit. It's just, and if you put him over Terrence Mann in the starting lineup, the team is real small, right? So you got Harden, Norm at the 2, DJJ, Kawhi, and then Zoo. It's just not, I don't know. The can't battle for the starting 2 spot, which I think is Terrence Mann's to lose, especially if you look at the contract he signed. That was starter money. Law Murray was correct about that. He's right about a lot of stuff. That's going to be interesting to see because there is going to need to be some offensive punch. Like, who is going to bring that? Obviously, James Harden's field goals attempts are going to go up, but so did Terrence Mann's. We need Terrence Mann to take more threes. That is something that he's talked about. It's a lot of stuff. So it's going to be interesting. That is the biggest question. That, and also what the hell is going to happen with Ivica Zubac sits on the bench, because it's not like there's a super clean fit at the backup 5 for that scenario. Another thing Norm talked about was wanting to show off his pick and roll abilities, which, if you're a longtime fan of the Clippers, you know that we do have some backup point guards who have some phenomenal, we have a history of a pedigree of a great pick and roll with the backup 2. So I don't know. I'm assuming he wants to show off the playmaking in the pick and roll with Zubac, because that would be the only other person that I could see running an efficient pick and roll with Norm Powell. I don't think Mo Bamba or Kai Jones would help Norm work on his pick and roll efficiency. I think that's got to be Zoo, and that's got to mean he's starting. Hey, what's up, Lloyd Tackwell? Thank you for the $2. Got Lee's packs, a cider for new season. Go Clips. Hell yeah, love the energy. That is peak media day energy, Lloyd. I appreciate it. Excited for the new season. Go Clips. Appreciate you. AM Productions. James will be leading scorer and assist man this season. Yes, I agree 100%. Someone on my Twitter was saying that because Kawhi is out, there's no second option, which is wrong. I think Kawhi is the second option. James Harden is the first option. I don't mean that disrespectfully or anything like that. Like, he is the first option. He's more available. He's going to play more. He's going to be asked to score more. Offensively, James Harden will be the first option. But AM Productions, you're totally right. KPJ will shock most of Clipper Nation. He can be our Joker. Do you mean Jokic or the Joker, the fictional character? I'm lost. I don't know. Unclear on what the KPJ situation is. He's talking to media kind of right now, actually. He always believed in himself. He's doing counseling. Things he like learned when in his time away from the league. I do want to point out one thing about Kevin Porter Jr., and I don't think this is going to go the way people think it's going to go. He wore some big ass boots to media day today, and I think everyone should see that. If you missed it, here are the boots that KPJ wore. These are huge. Why is he wearing such big ass boots? I don't get it. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks this is funny, but this fit, I'm dying at this fit. These are the biggest boots I've ever seen at media day. These are maybe the biggest boots you've ever seen in your life because it's an NBA player. I don't know. I thought this was funny. Sound off in the comments if you think KPJ wearing the biggest boots in the history of media day was funny. All right, enough of that. Luca E23, one of our international listeners. Thanks for hanging out, Luca. Appreciate that. They ask a very fair question. How disappointed are you in Zubac not growing his hair out over the season? Constantly disappointed. My disappointment knows no bounds, and my sadness is immeasurable. No, Zoo. It was so great to see Zoo. He mentioned he was happy the Clippers re-signed James Harden, which, yeah, I would be too. It looks like it. Like why was he wearing those boots? I don't. If I were at media day and I wasn't having to work, I would have held up my hand and I said, "And what about the boots?" Okay, back to Zubac. He's happy that they re-signed James Harden. I think that makes sense. He looked phenomenal with James Harden when he was running the pick and roll. He also mentioned that he thinks he's going to see an increased offensive workload this season with the major departures. He talked about his post game. He said, "Just being patient. When I get the ball down there, taking my time, using my body, my strength, and my height." If there is one thing Paul George got right, it was that Zubac needs to play like the biggest guy on the court. He was totally right about that. And I think we'll see that. There was a great stat about his hook shot last year. 65% on hook shots last season. Very efficient shot. Pretty easy thing to do. We're going to see more pick and roll. And there's a guy on my Twitter, Coach Bell, who I mentioned that a big way to get this going for Zeus is just play him more minutes. He needs to probably be at like 30 or something like that. But also just more Zoo-centric possessions outside of being, setting the screen in the pick and roll, which is very important. He's very good at it. He can pass out of the short roll well. Just giving him the ball and saying, "Go to work. Just go do your thing, you giant Croatian." That will be good to see. Zoo seems ready for it. He seems excited about it. So yeah, good to see. And again, a great offseason from Zoo. Just great showing at the Olympics. It's good stuff. Oh, this is an interesting call. I didn't even catch this. Great call. KPJ used to wear number 3. Does this mean CP3 jersey retirement? I don't know. That would be pretty cool. We talked about on the show we would want one of Blake or CP3's retirements to happen when Paul George returns, just to take the thunder away. Take all the thunder away from Paul George returning, retire CP3's jersey when they do that. They'll probably do it when they play the Spurs. That's an interesting catch, though. Thank you for catching that. Let's keep an eye on that. Jeremy Morton says, "Sub Chuck, what's going on, Jeremy?" Chunk is very excited for James Harden. Yeah, this was media day is so funny. I don't know how many people are, used to media days, but they're fun. The optimism is good to have, right? Like it's a whole new day, new season. It's all good stuff. It should be a good time. And this was it's kind of a boring media day, but you want that. You don't want an eventful media day. The first media day in the 2-1-3 era, after we got Kawhi and PG, Doc Rivers didn't talk to the media. And I remember being like, this seems weird and bad. I don't know, just something. Yeah, Lloyd, I think this is going to happen. It should happen. I don't think anyone would argue against that at all. All right, we talked about Harden. We talked about Norm. We talked about Kawhi. We talked about Zoo. Nico's back. Nick Batum was back. Obviously, everyone very excited about that. Said he tried to beat Team USA in the summer, couldn't do it, which sucks. He added to the thread of, the Clippers surprising people and things like that, which it's true. And there's no one better to have on the team to help you set a tone defensively than Nick Batum. I also believe he'll probably be starting opening night for the Clippers at the 4. Just we don't know if Kawhi's going to be back. Nico's the second best one on there. Yeah, again with the surprise song, Chunk Sampson in the comments saying, "We honestly are so deep though. Always forget someone. Oh, we got Batum. Oh, we got Dunn, and we got DJJ. I think we're gonna surprise people. Yeah, there's no expectations. There's no expectations, and there's no incentive to lose. We do not need to be the team. We can't be the team who's like looking for draft picks and stuff like that. So we need to surprise people basically. Terrence Mann spoke. I didn't see a bunch of quotes from Terrence. I saw one quote from Joey Lynn, which thank you for posting that, Joey. Jeremy Morin, I think this team is being underrated. Yeah, very good point. Love this. I love this take. Yeah, but just not a lot of Terrence quotes, which I thought was interesting. He did get the new contract, which we haven't talked about on the show as a collective yet. We were all hyped on it. It's an incredibly team-friendly contract. It lets him get another big contract after this, which is cool. And it's flexible if they have to trade him. I don't want to trade him, but it's flexible if they have to. I'm trying to find some more Terrence Mann quotes. But he had, I think Terrence Mann was maybe king of the cliches today. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Sometimes you just got to fire off some cliches. Got to be a competitive team, a lot of dogs on the roster, ready to go to war. Can only get through so many cliches. You know what I mean? But his contract's locked up, which is great. I was kind of worried about that just from how are we going to pay him, if he's not starting, because he's not guaranteed a starting spot. I do believe that he very much has the inside track for the starting spot, but it's his to lose. He does have to show he needs to shoot more threes and he needs to rebound better for his position. We can all agree on that. I love Terrence, but he does have to do those things. Derrick Jones Jr. spoke. He was told to be aggressive on offense, and he threatened malice under the rim if people are there. I agree. I also think hey, the dunks, those are going to be great. I'm very excited to see the dunks. We're going to see some Harden to DJJ lobs. They're going to be reminiscent of Lob City, vibe-wise. Maybe not levels of success-wise. But Lizo's saying, I think the key to success is if T-Man and DJJ hit their threes. Huge. That is so important for them to do. Derrick Jones Jr. needs to shoot the first 3 rounds of the playoffs last year. Kind of the whole year for the Clippers. Career-wise, he's 34.8 or something. Let me look it up real quick. Also, if you're on stream and thank you for dealing with my typing. I know you can hear the typing and it's annoying. Yeah, he was worse. He was at 34% on threes last year. He's got to be, I don't know, 4 points percentage higher than that. He's got to be at 38 or something like that. This is, you're absolutely correct, LZO. It's key. And he's going to be aggressive on offense. He's got to make the threes. Him and Terrence both have to take and make their threes. Derrick Jones Jr. averaged 3.1 3-point attempts last year. And I believe Terrence was it might have been less, 2.7. Both of those guys need to be at least 5. It's crazy that Terrence was averaging fewer than Derrick Jones Jr. That shit has to change. Both of those guys need to be over 5. They have to be over 5. The issue is going to be finding that balance of the ISO basketball that Harden will need to play it sometimes, and being able to move the ball. They can sag off Derrick Jones Jr. right now. He has to prove to other defenses that his shooting from outside is real. Same with Terrence Mann. 2 very important. It's going to be a lot. The starting lineup. One of the things that's going to be difficult this year is figuring out just what lineups work best. Without Kawhi, he's going to be in and out of the lineup. I'm not going to, you know what I mean? Sit here and pretend he's going to be 60 games or whatever. So that it's going to be difficult to find some rhythm. I hope they can hit this soon. Jeremy Mormon asking, does the league have to decide whether KPJ will be suspended before the start of the season, or is it just whenever they decide? I'm going to be honest. I have no idea. I think it's whenever they decide. He's at training camp. They're flying to Hawaii, I think, tonight. I just think it's whenever they decide. I have no insight on that. If I hear something, we will let y'all know. I did think it was weird. I don't know. If you're going to sign a guy like KPJ, he's still going to answer questions. Why do it off to the side? Nothing crazy is going to happen. Thoughts on the starters? I think the starters for opening night, I think it's going to be, the guaranteed spots, right? James Harden, Ivica Zubac. I think the other 3 spots are going to be Terrence Mann, Derrick Jones Jr., and Nick Batum. Only because we don't really know Kawhi's availability. Again, he intends to play but he always intends to play. And again, I don't mean that disrespectfully. He always intends to play. He just gets hurt, unfortunately. Yeah, so I think we'll probably see Nico, but I think it's going to be Terrence Mann and Derrick Jones Jr. I don't know if they're going to open the season. If Kawhi isn't available, I don't see how you can open the season with Norm at the 2, because then the defense is just like we're just all over the place defensively. Offensively, it's still weird, right? Because you have Nico with the 4, who is not someone who can get his own shot. He can hit the open 3, but he's not getting his own shot. So it's going to be the lineups are going to be wonky. Not that we haven't dealt with wonky lineups from Ty Lue before. We're going to see some 3-guard stuff. It's just how it goes. Whoa. LZO asking, what would you have to happen for Kawhi to be on the trading block come the deadline? I mean, he'd have to be playing out of his mind, but I don't think, again, there's no incentive. If the Clippers had their draft pick this year, I think it's a way different conversation. You know what I mean? But I don't even know what Kawhi's value is. What is Kawhi's value? It seems incredibly low. I think the Clippers kind of showed last year, right? Like we got the 60+ games, then he couldn't play the playoffs. So like they kind of inadvertently showed like it's kind of impossible to figure out Kawhi's value. And again, I don't mean that disrespectfully, but like, what is it? Someone put in the chat what you think the return for Kawhi would be realistically. Don't send me anything insane. But I generally don't know what it is. A first-round pick, right? It's weird. He's not even ready to play right now, it seems. So I don't know. This is depressing. Fair question, but depressing. Jaden Armstrong saying, damn, those Clippers picks that OKC have is going to be so nice for them. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe. It is a mystery box, Jeremy. It is absolutely a mystery box. We have no idea. Brandon Miller for Kawhi, 1-for-1. No, I don't think they would do that. I don't know. I don't want to talk about Kawhi trades anymore. It's media day. We should be full of hope. No, I don't know. We're going to see the growing pains are really going to be on offense. We got to figure out how to get to be not last in passes per game. And we were like dead last in passes per game, like a large percentage lower than the 29th team, which I think was the Mavs or something like that. On the pick and roll, I think you will see the Clippers were top 10 in points. I don't know where this thumbs up is coming from. The Clippers were top 10 in points per possession in the pick and roll last year, but they were, I think, 20th in frequency. We're going to see so much more pick and roll, which is good. We need that. As for whoever's going to run on the second unit when Zubac is out, no idea. I'm assuming it's going to be Kai Jones because he has a better post game than Mo Bamba. I think that kind of hurts my head to think about. So we'll see. Renzo the Gamer, Kawhi is going to play 50 games this season. Sign me up. Sign me up, Renzo. We figured out there's already like 16. There's how many back-to-backs? He's not going to play back-to-backs, I don't think. How would you feel if Kawhi was? I'd be like, what? He doesn't. No, don't do it. I would love 50 games from Kawhi. Again, we want Kawhi to play, but he's also, he mentioned too, the training staff wants him to be, ready for the important moments. You know what I mean? Like the important moments is the playoffs and things like that. So we're going to see some generational load management from the Clippers, I think, this season. And that should happen. Again, Kawhi is a hurt guy. It sucks, but it is what it is. All right. We got a couple more minutes here. If you guys want to keep sending questions, that's great. If not, probably just going to wrap it up in a few. I want to give, before the season starts, and I'm sure if you're watching a Clippers stream at noon on a Monday, you are already aware of this. Show some love to the beat reporters. They do a lot of great work for the Clippers, which is a very difficult team to report on. If you think you're frustrated with the amount of information that the team is giving you, think if your entire job depended on writing about that team. You guys know, you guys all probably have a favorite beat writer. Shout out to Law Murray, shout out to Tomer, Justin Russo, Joey Lynn, Farbod, Dime. I'm counting Dime. He covers it every single day. Law, Kelly Johnson. Like, there's just, I don't know. Follow them on Twitter. Remember the great work they do throughout the season. Read their stuff leading up to the season. Shout out to the beat writers. Yeah, here's to the Clips. Okay, I like this take. We're going to go out on this. If all the pieces fall correctly, I can see us having a 2022 Warriors type of season. Sign me the hell up. Let's do it. Yeah, I would take that. I think anyone watching this would take that. Yeah, that about wraps it up for me. I'm going to go back to work. Thank you for hanging out. We're going to be back with the full crew on Wednesday. It's going to be Adam, Will, and myself. And then we're going to be talking the Clippers preseason game that's happening on Saturday, which is going to be fantastic. There's a heat wave coming back, so everyone please stay cool. And we'll be doing a live stream after the Clippers game too on Saturday to talk what I'm sure will be an eye-opening, wonderful victory for the Clippers. Thank you for watching.